Dave Birkett here from the Detroit Free Press, along with Carlos Monarrez. Carlos, it's Friday. It's prediction time. Lions,
I got a good one.
The Eagles.
No
more trivia from you. We're done with trivia, right? You put the trivia to bed?
No, we got KC next week. I got some good KC trivia.
Okay, just make sure you get it right this time. We've had some...
What?
One of our referees out there said he's not sure if you even got the last one right. That might be 0 for 2, so 3 strikes and you're out. You get one more shot at it. One more shot.
I'm just like the Lions. I'm 1-0-1 on the trivia. I tied the first week. I was half right.
Touche. That's a good one. All right, Lions Eagles this week, and look, I think if both teams are healthy, I don't know that the Lions stand much of a shot at winning this game. I mean, I think the Eagles to me are one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFC.
Wow.
This game is in Philadelphia, but they're not healthy right now. I mean, Deshaun Jackson is not going to play. Doug Peterson said, he's still holding out hope for Alshon Jeffrey and Dallas Goedert, but neither one of those guys has practiced at all. They're without a couple of their defensive tackles. They got some other guys that are banged up. So I don't know, how much pause does that give you, without giving away your prediction yet, how much pause does that give you, or how much optimism, I guess, does that give you about what the Lions can accomplish in Philadelphia against a pretty good team?
I think the Lions, it sets up well for them. I think the Eagles, they're I don't know. I don't try to make too much of a thing about trap games and this and that necessarily, but they do have a Thursday game in Green Bay next week. They may be looking ahead to that, maybe thinking if there's a game where we can maybe rest some guys or not push them out there, save them for Green Bay, and maybe they can take their chance. They're at home. That could be an advantage for them. But I think it works. It sets up well, like you said. A lot of banged up bodies over there. They canceled practice this week on Wednesday, so it all points to the Lions having a favorable outcome, I think.
Well, I think there's no doubt that the injuries played a factor in what happened last week when the Lions beat the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers didn't have a kicker. If they have a field goal kicker, then that game's a different story. They missed 2 field goals, and beyond that, the key play, really, the touchdown to Kenny Golladay, it comes a couple plays after they're already down one safety, Derwin James. Then their other safety breaks his arm and is out of the game, so all of a sudden you're picking on the number 3 safety with that play. So there's no doubt that injuries play a factor. It's a part of life in the NFL. And look, the Lions haven't been completely healthy either. No Taylor Decker last week, no Jared Davis. Matt Patricia sounds optimistic about getting Jared Davis back. I think Decker looks like he's been, a little healthier in practice this week. So my own optimism would be that both players would play. But look, the Lions, this is a game that all of a sudden, a month ago I chalked this up as a sure loss, and now I sort of, it's one of those toss-up games to me. I think the Lions have a shot at going into Philadelphia and coming away with a victory.
Yeah, you know what, and this happens every year. These unexpected injuries or situations, and it's breaking the Lions' way. It's not going to break their way down the road when a game that they should have in hand or something, someone's going to get hurt or something, So it's just kind of the balance of the season. So they need to take advantage of this opportunity. I mean, they have a couple of the injuries with Taylor Decker, but Crosby played well last week. Tavai has had a lot of help. He's played well. So I'd say the Lions are pretty healthy. They're about as healthy as you're going to get right now, at least even in the NFL.
No, absolutely. It's certainly a cyclical thing. It's going to catch up to you at some point because everybody gets hurt in the NFL. I know you asked Matt Patricia about T.J. Hockenson today, and maybe that's one thing that I think Hockenson had such a big first game, and then he didn't do much week 2. But maybe that was because of the way they had to play. I know some of it may be how they were defended, but also. Terrell Crosby, they have to keep those guys in a little bit more. They're running different type routes. They don't want Stafford to take a pounding back there. So, we'll see. You get a healthy Taylor Decker back. It's a different sort of pressure team this week. Fletcher Cox, a really good interior lineman. They don't have the same sort of heat that they can bring from the outside. So.
Did you hear that, Brandon Graham?
Well, I mean, even though obviously we know what Jim Schwartz's scheme is, and we know who Brandon Graham is, he's a fine player. But at this stage of Brandon Graham's career, he's not Joey Bosa. I love Brandon Graham; he's a great player, but he's not Joey Bosa right now.
He didn't go to Ohio State, is what you're saying.
No, Brandon Graham and I. One time we shot a video talking about breakfast. Go check it out on YouTube somewhere.
Breakfast of Champions.
Yeah, Breakfast of Champions. But no, this is it. All right, so let's go on to keys to victory. In your eyes, in your estimation, what do the Lions have to do? Give me 1 or 2 things. The most important things for them to do beyond outscoring their opponent to win Sunday.
Yeah, I think that they need to put a little more. They need to get some pressure up front that's been lacking.
Yes.
Get to Carson Wentz early and often. Attack that offense because the offense is the weak point for the Eagles of all things right now. And I saw some stat where the Eagles have since last year they've scored 41 points in the first quarter, like the lowest in the NFL. So they have a hard time starting fast. Wow. So if you can punch him in the mouth a little bit early, get to Carson Wentz, affect him, get some pressure on him. Not a sack necessarily, but just get to that offense, mess with him.
That's a good stat. I would have used that for my matchups.
Would you give me credit?
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I wouldn't. Of course not.
Okay, of course not.
I already filed it, so you're not getting any credit now. But you should let me know ahead of time.
So I think that's it. Just get to that offense early, and then you take your chances from there. And then I think offensively, the Lions, they're going to have to mix it in. There's a lot of different options that they have. I think it's not going to be quite as much zone. They might not take away the tight ends like the Chargers did as much. So, but Schwartz is crafty. I mean, he'll do lots of different things to try to get Stafford off his back foot. So,
I'll give you one other thing: the running game. Look, I think the Lions' running game has been disappointing so far this year. I mean, their running backs are averaging, Carry on and C.J. Anderson before he got cut, 3 yards a carry. That's not going to cut it in the NFL. I mean, it's 2 yards less than what Carry on did last year, and he's not a different back. So what's going on? I mean, he's maybe being defended differently. Maybe that offensive line isn't opening as many creases. And, Stafford has played pretty well these first 2 weeks. There's no doubt about that. They've gotten some production from Galladay and Hockenson and Marvin Jones and, a bunch of these receivers, Amendola. But I think they need to get this running game going a little bit. And especially on the road, we all know Matt Patricia is the type of coach. He wants to control these games in the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball. And from that standpoint, I think they need to get Kerryon Johnson heated up. They need to get him, a good, solid 15-plus touches. If they could get 80-plus rushing yards out of him, I think that's a big key to victory.
One thing I like about the run game so far is they've stuck with it. I think they had like 94 yards or something like that last week, combined. It hasn't been atrocious. It just hasn't been what everybody's hoped that it would be. Obviously, Ty Johnson's probably going to get more touches this week, so that could be changing. The new Paul Perkins, the new running back. Who knows if they mix him in? McKissick.
You just like California guys. I mean, I know
all Cali.
But yeah, you say that.
So that I think that's. I think it's going to get going at some point. You're right. I mean, to be who they want to be, they need to have carry on. Getting more yards, being more effective. But I like that, don't discount when he falls forward for 2 yards, instead of getting hit for a 1 yard loss. That means something, I mean, you want them with the 4 yard average, but getting a few positive yards when you would get nothing otherwise. I think Carryon's kind of done that. It hasn't looked great on paper, but I think they're going to stick with it. I think it'll happen soonish, and then obviously they're missing two tackles right up front. They still have Fletcher Cox, but
no Timmy Jernigan, no Malik Jackson. But it's. I mean, I think especially on the road, they need to get and Zach Ertz. I don't know if you mentioned Zach Ertz earlier. I wasn't really listening to what you were saying as usual. But no, Zach Ertz is. He's.
How's the fantasy team going in your head?
Yes, I'm
making your
moves.
Myself.
God,
okay.
Should have started a different defense this week. Not the
Mike Trout. How good is he? What were you saying again? He's a little nicked up, right?
Zach Ertz?
Yeah,
a little bit, but I mean, because Deshaun Jackson's not playing, we don't know about Alshon Jeffrey yet. I mean, Ertz is he's the engine. He had 116 catches last year, so he's always
Nelson Aguilar had a good game last week, though.
But you know what? And that's what. So I went back and looked at some of these numbers. Here's a stat for you, right? Zach Ertz last year, I think it was 6 games that he had 10 or more catches, and the Eagles lost 5 of them. Like it was something crazy like that. So when Zach Ertz is their leading receiver, when they don't have somebody else, it doesn't bode well for the Eagles. So as much as Ertz is such a good player, but the Eagles they need a complementary piece, and so maybe it's Aguilar. I know Aguilar had a good game last week for them, but Ertz had like 16 targets, so he was far and away the top target with no Alshon, with no Deshaun Jackson. So. A big part of what the Lions have to do this week is, yes, they have to stop Zach Ertz, but they also have to make sure one of those other guys don't get off, because that's when this Philly offense becomes really, really good.
Town Philly.
Back again. All right, prediction time. All right, Carlos, 1-0-1, the Lions. The Eagles are 1-1. It's a pretty big NFC game, here for late September, I guess. What do you give me a prediction? What do you got?
I see the Lions winning this game, Dave. You know what? And here's the score that you're gonna love.
Did it? All right, Let's hear it.
41-33. Matt Patricia pays back Doug Peterson for Super Bowl 42.
You're just trolling
right?
out there. You're just trolling.
41-33. 41-33, baby.
Did we run like a Detroit special this time or something? Is there something that we get for? There's a little payback that Patricia's getting against.
He puts 41 on Peterson, like Peterson put 41 on him. So,
all right, I think it's going to be a much lower scoring game. And I'm going to take the Eagles. I mean, this is I think it's the first time we've differed this year.
I haven't bought in yet. Okay.
No, look, even though the Eagles are without several key players, or will be without several key players, I think it's a little different when you have a week to prepare for that, rather than when it happens the day of the game. Dallas Goedert gets hurt in warm-ups last week.
Right.
Deshaun Jackson and Elshon go out, and all of a sudden you're scrambling.
Right.
And I think it's a little different when you have a week to prepare, and you say, all right, this is how we're going to attack. This is what we're going to do. So, and I think the Eagles are a pretty good team overall. Yeah. I do. I think they're one of the better teams in the NFC. So, like I said, I think this is a game that is certainly winnable for the Lions, whereas, a couple weeks ago I would have, just chalked it up as an automatic loss. I think I'll take the Eagles 24-21, somewhere in that neighborhood. Definitely
the line must be 3.
41-33. Yeah.
It was 7 at one point. Yeah, it's a lot.
Big, which is, I mean, look, Vegas.
Take the Eagles, bet the line, though.
Well, and a lot of that is due to the Lions have struggled so far. I mean, it's not like when you lose an 18-point lead against the Cardinals and you play really one good quarter of offensive football in that game, the second quarter, and then you don't do much until you're backed up against the wall. Last week against the Chargers, there's not a lot of believers right now. There's just people that are looking at that 1-0-1 record and saying, "Come on, the Lions," So, but I think they got a shot. But ultimately, in Philadelphia, I'm gonna take the Eagles by a field goal.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Of course it is, because I said it. All right, that'll do it for us here. We'll heading out to Philadelphia tomorrow, so. Make sure we'll have all of your news from the Lions-Eagles game Sunday after the game. Shoot another video. Carlos has you on the 3 questions as always, and we'll make sure that anything you need, we'll take
live blog.
Live blog. Oh yeah, that's right. Live blog back on our
buddies.
Game. So make sure you join Carlos for that. That'll do it for us now. From Allen Park, for Carlos Monarrez, I'm Dave Birkett, Freep.com.